Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us for our Best Break today. My name is Wendy Mora. I'm a neighborhood planner with the Best Neighborhoods Division of Neighborhood Services. We have a couple of us on the line today from Best Neighborhoods. We also have my senior planner, Kala Krishnan, our planning tech, Maria Castillo, and our neighborhood engagement manager, Keisha Siriano. Everybody give a wave. That's our Best Neighborhoods team. For those of you that aren't aware of what Best Neighborhoods is, we actually are a group that works with neighborhoods, and we help your groups to get together with events and grants and put together our block party trailer and lots of other fun and exciting things that we can do. But a lot of what we do is help our neighborhoods who are looking to get more organized and need some additional assistance, and also just trying to engage each other in your local communities. So thank you again for joining us for Best Break today. Our Best Break program is done on the first and third Wednesday of each month. And just to go over a couple of things as we get started, all participants will be muted for this session, and feel free to ask any questions that you have in the chat box, and we'll be sure to forward those on to Chris and get his responses on those. And then lastly, just wanted to go over a couple of events that we have coming up, just so that everyone is aware, and that way we can allow everyone to come on into the meeting. I see a lot of folks joining us, so I will go ahead and start here. 1 second. There we go. Sorry. Gotta love these Zoom meetings. Okay, so you should be able to see my screen now. And again, today our topic will be burglary prevention with Officer Chris Vianes, and we'll be introducing him here in just a moment. But just to tell you about a couple of events that we have coming up, our annual Neighborhood Summit will be coming up November the 7th. This is a free event that you can feel free to attend. Just register at ntxneighborhoodsummit.org. We will also be coordinating this with Garland, Rowlett, and other surrounding cities, so you'll get a chance to hear what they have to talk about and hear what's going on in their communities. And then it's mostly going to be focusing on neighborhood and home values. So that's something to look forward to coming up here. We also have, starting soon, our first annual Fall into Fitness event. So this is a neighborhood competition, a neighborhood challenge. So get out with your neighbors, see who can gather the most minutes for the month of November, and see who Plano's fittest neighborhood is. Registration for individuals will open on the 15th of October, but we'll go ahead and start getting the neighborhoods that are interested in participating. Just reach out to us, best@plano.gov. We'll also be sending out an email to those groups already registered. New neighborhoods are welcome, and we welcome your registration with Best Neighborhoods. And again, that will just get you access to all of our events and fun stuff that we have going on, and you'll also have a neighborhood planner assigned to your area that can help you out with any questions you might have. We have our next edition of Best Break coming up. Will actually be a special edition. It will be in the evening, starting at 6:30 on October 31st. Something a little bit different, but we just want to check in with our neighborhoods and our folks within the community and see what's going on. So we're going to do a roundtable event coming up on October the 21st. So make sure to join us for that session as well. Registration will open for that shortly. And then also the neighborhoods are kind of divided up into different clusters, as we call them. And we have one planner assigned to each area. So depending on where you are, feel free to go ahead and reach out to us individually. You can always reach us all at best@plano.gov as well. And just contact Neighborhood Services if you're looking for any of us, 972-208-8150. And we will be happy to help you out with that. And now that we've gotten through our few events there, I just want to go ahead and begin with a question for you all. And that is, would you like to know how to make your residents more burglar resistant? Show of hands for everybody. Of course you are, that's why you're here. So you're in the right place. So our speaker today has been a police officer for over 23 years. For the past 13 years, his full-time assignment has been in the crime prevention unit. He helping organizations protect people and property. So helping us today with our webinar on property safety, burglary prevention, please join me in welcoming from the Plano Police Department, certified crime prevention specialist, certified speaking professional, and just the best block party dancer that you will ever see, Officer Chris Vianes.
What a welcome. Imagine that you leave your house to run a quick errand. And when you come back in about 10 minutes, you come face to face with a burglar. That happened to a couple of our residents in Plano. In the first case, the woman was on the phone, and when she saw the intruder, she took off running. She quickly tried to dial 911, but he grabbed the phone, took it from her, and then forced her into the master bedroom and then in the closet. He said, "Stay there, do not turn around." He went back in the master bedroom, continued to burglarize, and then left, and thankfully didn't harm her any worse. In the second case, a man walked through the door and came face to face with the burglar. He grabbed him, pointed a weapon, and then drug him from room to room to room. "I know you've got money. Show me where it is." As you can imagine, these two people were terrified. If you're going to give up some precious lunchtime to be here today, thank goodness this topic is something you care about and those who care about you, because today we're talking about property safety. As Wendy said, I've been with the police department for 23 years, and I've got the best job, my full-time job, safety education. Now, some of you may be thinking, I'm going to share a screen here. Some of you may be thinking, I've seen this guy someplace before. It could have been in that, on that balloon festival footage. Let me see if we can pull it up for you.
At the Plano Balloon Festival.
But a Plano police officer also stole the show.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's Officer Christopher Vianez dancing in front of one of the booths. He actually works in the crime prevention office for the Plano Police Department. Actually been here on Good Day, talking about how you can protect your home in a very serious face, and then saw him out there and he was getting down. Drew quite.
I can never resist throwing that up when I know Culla's in the room, because she always says, this is not a dance party. But she knows we're always going to have fun if I'm actually involved with something. So we're going to make it a dance party. Now, if I had just one thought I could share with you in terms of keeping you safe, this would be the message to remember. The best thing you could do to keep your property safe is to remove the opportunity. Best thing you could do is remove the opportunity. We've got a little more time today, so here's what we're going to talk about. First, we're going to talk about Neighborhood Watch, and then we're going to talk about how to harden the target. But first, I want to start with something they taught me in the police academy, which was this crime triangle. They said in order for a crime to be committed, there was 3 elements that had to be present. First, there had to be desire. In other words, someone had to want to commit a crime. Unfortunately, a lot of people fall in that category. The second thing was ability. They had to be able to do it. And the third was the opportunity. So as you consider those 3, what's the only one that we have some measure of control over? That's right, that opportunity. So the best thing that we could do is to remove that opportunity. So we're going to start with Neighborhood Watch. Neighborhood Watch is comprised of 2 basic principles. The first one is to know your neighbors, and the second one is to report suspicious activity. So if you would, real quick, type in the notes, why would it be important to know your neighbors? This is the interactive part of the program. I'm going to put on some people, see if I can see what you're saying here. In the chat box, why is it important? Wendy, can you help me with this? Why is it important to know the neighbors? Tell me what they're saying. Oh, this is not a very chatty group, huh?
Guess not. Let's see. So that you know who does not belong.
Oh, I like how you're thinking. We keep an eye on each other's property. Good. What else? This is the interactive part of the program. Come on, y'all. We need to know if someone is not supposed to be there. Oh, so good. That is exactly right. Because I'm going to tell you this. If you don't know your neighbors, how would you know if anything is suspicious? For instance, there's nothing suspicious about someone backing a U-Haul truck into a driveway, loading the contents from the residence, and driving away. That happens thousands of times all across the United States every day. But if that family is not moving, if they're in some vacation and no one has permission to move their stuff, that could be a problem. Another good reason to know your neighbors, we had a lady who I call the Gladys Kravitz of the neighborhood. Those of you that are mature enough might remember that Bewitched, the nosy neighbor. So she was looking outside and she noticed some suspicious people. And then when they started walking up the door, oh, that was it. She grabbed her phone. She called 911 to report these people. Now, We got there so quick. When the police arrived, they were still in the house. So we were able to get them positively identified, but then they refused to leave. Well, they had good reason. After all, they were the homeowners and they had lived there for over a year. Can you believe that? Can you imagine calling the cops on the people who've lived there for over a year? Yeah, so we don't want to do that. So one good reason to know your neighbors is so that you will know who belongs and who doesn't belong. And the second thing is to report suspicious activity. And if I asked you, Wendy, you can talk to me. Wendy, report it to whom?
Right. The police?
Yes, the police. You know, police don't do what some people do and call another neighbor or call their husband who's on a business trip in Colorado. Honey, someone's outside. No, if you see something, we want you to say something. So to immediately call 911 to report any suspicious person or vehicle or circumstance. We recognize that you are the eyes and ears in the community. So if you ever see something that gives you fear or something that you think is suspicious, you can go ahead and call. Now, some people want to know, well, what's the difference between a 911 call and a non-emergency call? A non-emergency call is something that's happened and it's been a while. There's a time delay. There's nobody present. For instance, let's say you went on a weekend trip and you pulled up to your garage door. Someone had spray painted some unkind things on your door, but you don't know when it happened. Could have been Friday, Saturday, earlier in the morning on Sunday. That's a non-emergency call. There's no one around doing it. Now, should you pull up and the person's spraying it right then, that's a 911 call. If you see a vehicle that is occupied and you think that person might be the lookout for someone who's burglarizing the house because a few minutes ago, that car was driving around the block several times with 3 people in the car. Now there's one person in the car sitting there. Where'd the other 2 go? Might be inside burglarizing. So that would be a 911 call. Well, what Neighborhood Watch is not, is it's not investigating. So I don't want you to walk up to that person in the car and say, excuse me, sir, can I help you? First off, it's not against the law to be in the vehicle parked on the street. That's legal. But I don't want you to always make up some excuse why they might be there. If your gut, if your intuition is telling you something's wrong, trust that intuition, make the call, but let the officer make the contact. Because if you talk to the person, that person drives away, and then you think, I should have called 911 like Officer Biana said. And you go home and you do call 911, and then the officer comes out to take the report, and the officer says, okay, can you tell me, did this person have any active warrants? You're going to be like, I don't know. Did he have a criminal history? How would I know? Was he a registered sex offender? Well, obviously, you're not going to know, and we're never going to know. However, had you called 911 and an officer responded and contacted that person, how long would it take a police officer to get the answer to those 3 questions? Right, a couple minutes, we're going to know. So please don't mess up our investigation. Another way you can get people to drive away is when you walk outside and give them the stink eye. Don't do that either. It's the same result. They drive away and we've lost our ability to investigate. But even worse than investigating, I do not want you to try to apprehend a criminal. So if you see somebody who, I'm going to throw this slide up so you can take a look at that slide. We don't want you to investigate. We don't want you to apprehend. So that's really important. Do not run out and try to capture some person. We've had some tragic incidents, not only in Plano, but across the country, when someone runs out and tries to apprehend someone. Let the police officers do the investigating and the apprehending. Police have 3 things in their favor. They have the training, they have the equipment, and they have the backup. So if you see something, then say something. Okay. At this point, I'm going to go to Wendy and have you check the box for me. Any questions so far in the box?
I do not have any questions so far, but I will keep an eye on that. And if anybody has any questions as he's speaking, please feel free to write them into the chat box, and I will be sure to bring them up at the next moment here.
This would be a great time to ask an officer a question. Like if you ever want to know what's up with the police officer or with the donuts or why does most of you guys have mustaches, anything at all, this is a good time to ask. But we will go ahead since there are no questions. We're going to talk about now hardening the target. If somebody One thing that people always ask me is about cameras. And I will tell you, cameras are fantastic. You probably heard of the tragic incident of Sharmista Sen on the jogging trail, and then the burglary that occurred right around that same time. Well, it was a Ring camera that caught that footage that enabled us to make an arrest that very morning. Let's take a look.
Ring doorbell captured the moment police say 29-year-old Bakari Moncrief broke into a Plano home off Michael Drive early Saturday morning, at least twice making this statement.
So cameras are really a great thing to have. I've sat down with someone who, oops, let me unmute myself. So cameras are great. You can see a lot of footage where people will walk up and they'll look up and they'll see a camera and they'll turn and walk away. We've seen this in driveways where people are trying to burglarize cars and they walk up and they see it, they take off. So I sat down with someone, asked him what type of cameras that he likes, and he does camera installation for about 15 years, and he likes the wired cameras. He says they're more reliable, they're more secure. The other thing that he talked about was the RJ45 jack. Having that type of camera with that type of connection is going to be a better camera than the old-fashioned coaxial camera. Another thing is megapixels. This is particularly important to us as law enforcement and also for you, because when you go and you look at the video footage and you have to zoom in, if you don't have a 4 to 8 megapixel camera, as you zoom, the image is going to pixelate and we won't get a clear image what the person looks like. And of course, that's what we need to be able to do to identify the person. So having good resolution is important when you select cameras. Another thing is integration. So if you have a Ring doorbell, it might make sense to get a camera that's a Ring like on the driveway or the back door. And as far as placements, I'm going to recommend you have one at least, like I like to have one on the front door, and then on the driveway. If you have a garage and a driveway, we want one there so you can see anybody who comes up there or goes into the yard, and definitely that back door at a minimum. Now, some people are buying these 8 camera systems and they're putting them around all areas of their house. But it's nice if you have the same integration like Ring or maybe another one like Lorax like this that has, so that way you can go to your app and you can see all your cameras in one convenient place. So if you don't have cameras, think in terms of integration so you can have something that's easy to view all in, like I said, in one location. Here's some recommendations as well, is quality is worth the investment. There's been many people who've gone out and purchased cameras and tried to save some money, but then when they looked at it, it really wasn't what they wanted. And so they ended up replacing the system. And so you don't necessarily need the most expensive, but you do want a good quality camera system so that you have the quality images that you want. Okay, what about questions? Anything in the question?
Yes, I have quite a few now.
All
So,
right.
first question coming up. Let's see. What should we do if we see homeless people around?
Okay. Well, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to be happy that that we are in a better position if we are, but you can't call in. It's not against the law to be homeless. It's not even against the law for someone to walk down the street and be talking crazy. So we have to call in suspicious people that are doing something like committing a crime, or you think they're committing a crime, or concerned for their welfare. If you see someone laying down and they look passed out, you're not even sure they're okay, you could call that in as a welfare check, but it's not against the law to be homeless. So that's going to be my answer on that. What else?
Let's see, for the next one. So would it be a non-emergency call or an emergency call when there are people partying in a pool 7 days a week, different hours of the morning, evening, night, middle of the night? Who can I call, and how do I report that?
Okay, so you can call. One of the concerns, this sounds like this is going to be someone that this is going to be either in an apartment complex or in a single family residence. So it's going to be one or the other, and it's disturbing your peace. And so there is once we get past like 10 p.m., They can't be getting too crazy loud. And so what you can do is you can call 911 and say, I'd like to make a noise complaint. And you can even ask to remain anonymous. A lot of times people don't want to call because they don't want the police officer to walk up to their door. And now the person you complained on says, oh, that's the person that complained. And you don't want the problems that might be associated with that. And so it's nice to know that you can remain anonymous. So just let the call taker will ask you, do you want contact? And what that means is, do you want the police officer to come back and kind of give you a brief report? They're not going to give you all the details, but they might tell you what happened. Hey, we told them to keep it down over there, and they said they are going to do that. If there's a problem, if you hear a bunch of noise again, give us a call. We'll come back out. So
Okay,
if we can't, go ahead.
Sorry, Chris. Is that also the case during the day, or if they're being extremely loud? Or
If there's a certain like decibel, I'm not sure how they measure this. How they get out some decibel measurement? I'm not sure how it's measured. But even during the day, they can't, be so loud to mess up your enjoyment of life, I guess. So, but definitely, I think it's after 10 p.m. There are certain city ordinance restrictions on that. So you could actually look that up too, probably under the city ordinances. Cullen might know. Cullen, do you know where that is in the city ordinances?
Exact section, no, but our folks in property standards would also be able to help.
Now that we have more people here, is there any chance we can get you to dance today, Cullen?
Not right now.
Okay, I tried. Okay, so
okay, I have some more questions for
all right,
you.
Wendy, what else?
Is it okay to approach officers in their vehicle?
Ooh, no, I'd say no. If you're going to approach an officer in a vehicle, you're going to do it very carefully. There's a lot of officers that are assaulted. Is the most dangerous job is being a police officer. No group of workers is assaulted more than police officers. And so I would, if you're going to approach, you need to, really kind of keep your distance, let the officer know, hey, and the officer probably will step out and talk to you. But I wouldn't walk up to an officer's window. And certainly not on especially when they're busy, like on a traffic stop. If they're on a traffic stop, you don't want to walk up behind them and things like that. So just be conscientious that officer safety is really critical. And so I'd make that approach very cautiously.
Okay. And let's see, what is the average response time after a 911 call?
So it depends on this. The calls are kind of categorized by priority 1, which is the most important. And we strive to be there in less than 5 minutes. And once again, we have done it. It's 4 point something. So we're under 5 minutes on priority 1s. And the non-priority 1 calls, we strive to be there in less than 8 minutes. And again, we are consistently doing that on average. So that's our response time. Sometimes it's really, really fast. Sometimes they're right around the corner. Sometimes people arrive in 30 seconds. But on average, when they average out all the calls on priority 1s, we're under 5 minutes, and non-priority 1s under 8 minutes.
Will police be stationed at the Davis Library location now that the new station at McDermott has reopened?
They will, but they're going to be doing a big remodel there, and some officers will be there, but I'm not sure who all. It seems like it changes regularly. So we'll see. Once that remodel gets done, maybe some officers will be in there. I'm going to have you, Wendy, hold whatever questions we've got. We're gonna move along a little bit, and then we're going to come back and grab some more questions. So if you have questions, put them in there. Okay, do alarms work? I'll tell you what happens more often than not with alarms is people forget to set the alarms. But let me give you a quick riddle of something that happened recently. We had a really nice home in West Plano that was burglarized, and the homeowners had the alarm set. It was on, but the burglars got in and out of the house, and the alarm didn't go off, and it wasn't malfunctioning. So the question is, how did those sneaky criminals do it? If you'll type that in, we're going to go look and see what you come up with. How did the criminals do that? I'm going to watch this little chat here. See, Culla, if you were dancing, we'd have more people awake, and they'd be ready to respond quicker. Come on, peeps. Oh, broke window and didn't open. Nice. Cut the phone line. Okay. They knew the code. They broke the keypad. Oh, you guys are great. These are some good thinkers here. Okay. So I'm going to jump in and tell you what happened. You're right. They broke the window. So I always say this. If you don't have a motion sensor or a glass break sensor, you don't have an alarm, because your alarm can be so easily defeated. You kick that glass out of that big pane door in the back, and you go through that glass area, broken glass, and back out, and no alarm goes off. And sometimes people, what they'll do is they'll have a motion sensor, but they're trying to be a little strategic about it. So what they'll do is they'll place it on a hallway, so that way they've got to come down this hallway to get into the master bedroom. Well, not necessarily, because what the burglars want, and by the way, they do want the master bedroom. They believe in the master bedroom, they're going to have the cash, the firearms, the jewelry. And so what they will do is they will break the window into the master bathroom or the master bedroom, burglarize just that area, and back out they go. No alarm goes off. So if you have an area where your stuff is, if it's your master bath, we need to have glass break sensor or motion sensor. But a lot of times what I'm hearing more people doing these days is they're utilizing camera systems, because the camera systems are motion activated and they get the alert on their phone and they can just look themselves. And so that might be another option, but we want to have some way to know if someone enters into that master bedroom, master bath, or any other room that you have valuables that you're concerned about. So good response there. Okay, let me launch this little slideshow again, and we'll push on. Okay, I was going to ask a question on a poll, but I know. Okay, so this one's for the ladies. Okay, the ladies are here. Here's what you hear. Knock on your door. I want to know, how do you handle that? So ladies, if you'll type in, you're not expecting anyone. You look out. There's a couple guys out there. You don't know who they are. What are you going to do? Okay, leave door closed, but ask who it is. Don't answer. Ignore it. I don't unlock. Answer to the door. Do not speak or open the door. Don't answer. Talk through the door. I talk through the door. Okay, wow, really good. I was very pleasantly surprised to see some of you that have got the, what I'm going to tell you is what I think is your safest option. Your safest option is we're going to never open the door to an unknown person. So we are going to leave it locked. And I think a lot of people were taught, particularly women, that if someone knocks on the door, you're home alone, do not say a word. And I saw some people say that, you know, be quiet. I've had ladies even tell me they just turn down the television, they go to another room, they try to keep real quiet, not let them know someone's at home, because someone might come in to get them. But that's probably one of the riskiest things you could do, is keep quiet, because now the burglars think no one's home. A burglar is going to knock on the door, ring the doorbell to see if anyone's home. So if you keep quiet, ladies, you give them the burglar false sense that no one's home. And the next thing that happens, 3 guys come to your back door and bam, they kick that back door and they come in the house. And now what was going to be a property crime could end up being a person-on-person crime. We don't want that. So what you should do is what some of you said in the chat, is walk up. You could say, honey, I got it, especially if honey's not even home. We want them to think someone else is there, because there's strength in numbers. It's more difficult to handle 2 people than 1. So you speak to honey, whether honey's there or not, and then you go to the door and say, what can I do to you? You're going to speak through the locked door. If you have a Ring doorbell or another type of camera system that has the ability to speak, you could do it through that. You're going to talk through that door, through that app, so they can hear your voice. Now, what if the person says to you, oh, I'm looking for the Johnson family? Well, what would you do? When I ask a live audience, people would normally say, well, I'm not going to do much. I wouldn't even bother my spouse, or I wouldn't call the neighbors. I'd just carry on my day. But what we want you to do, if someone comes up and they knock on your door and they're looking for another family, that's a 911 call for a suspicious person. And to prove that to you, let me ask you this. How many times this week have you found yourself on the wrong doorstep? This month? This year? Right. It doesn't happen. Today, with Google Maps and GPS units on the dashboard, and everyone has a smartphone that can tell them more, and they can just always call and say, what's the address again? There's something suspicious about someone at the wrong doorstep. But let me tell you what happens every day in Plano. Some burglars knocking on the door to see if someone's there. What are they going to do when someone answers the door or speaks to the door? They're going to come up with some excuse. So when something doesn't make sense, like they're looking for the Johnson family, 911 call Because if you don't do that, well, you kept yourself safe by talking through the door, but you haven't done any neighborhood watch. Now they're going to go a few doors down, find a vacant house, someone's not occupied, and break into there. And so to help your neighborhood, we're asking you to pick up the phone and call 911 to report a suspicious person. Tell them that whatever the person said to you, and get a description if you can of the person and what they're driving, and let the officers come and do that investigation. Questions? Wendy, any questions?
I am. I do have a few. Let's see. Okay? Just making sure I wasn't muted. Are residential burglaries up year over year in Plano? And if so, why?
Okay, I think most of our crimes are down. They're actually down, but we still get burglaries. Our most common crime we get is burglary of motor vehicles. And the reason I'd say why is you nice people, you leave a lot of good stuff in there. People are leaving purses and wallets and firearms and cash and laptops. It's crazy. So we talk about take, lock, and hide. Take your keys, lock your car, hide your valuables. But I want to take it a step further. Remove your valuables. Remember, if it's valuable to you, it's valuable to someone else. We also get these burglary of houses. About half of the burglaries we get are residential. And of that, 50% of our residential burglaries are open garage doors. If we could get you to shut those garage doors, we could cut our home burglaries in half. And another really scary thing is when that garage door is open, almost always the door from the garage that leads into the house is open. So you not only have your property in the garage at risk, but your family. So please close those garage doors. But in terms of burglaries, they are slightly down, but we still have them. Okay, if somebody comes up and they try to kick your door is going to fly open. Your door was never designed for your safety. And the reason that is the hardware that's on your door. Your door has on the side, they got these little strike plates. And you can see there's a 1/2-inch screw. So there's two. There's one for the deadbolt and this one for the door handle. So when someone kicks it, the door flies open. This is what you have. And ladies and gentlemen, this is what you need. This is called a double security strike plate. You see it's got one for the door handle and it has an opening for the deadbolt. But you notice immediately the difference. Instead of a 1/2-inch screw, you've got 9 4-inch screws. So there's not a person on this call that could kick that door and rip 9 4-inch screws out of 2x4. It's not going to happen. So we want to take off those 2 little plates and we want to put that door or the better security strike plate. I'm going to launch this slideshow again. So give me a second to figure this out so we can have you look at something. Okay. Okay, so here's kind of a little visual what you're looking at. You've got a 1/2-inch screw versus the 4-inch screw to see it that way. The next thing we want to do is we want to have something that will, what if somebody comes up and they try to do a spreading technique, like they try to spread the door frame and now the deadbolt lock comes out of the hole and they can just push the door open. Or they come up with a pry bar and they try to do that. We need something that is going to resist that. And so what a really good product is this thing called the Door Defender. And it looks like, let me get this out of this. This is like a strike plate and it goes on the frame of the door. And then this part is the lock and this slides on like that. So it slides on and off. So whenever you lock your deadbolt lock, you're going to go ahead and slide this product on. Because this one, if someone knows how to pick a lock, let's say you've got those nice strike plates with the 4-inch screws, but if someone knows how to pick a lock, they'll pick the deadbolt, walk right in, unless you have a door defender on your door. Now you physically have to take this off the door for them to get in. So that is a good product. I'm going to show you what it looks like on a door, if I can get this. Okay. There we go. Okay, hold on one sec. There we go. Okay, so your door defender is going to be like there. So we recommend you put it out taller, higher up than the deadbolt. So that way if someone tries that spreading technique, they're not going to be able to do it, but that will also prevent it from spreading as well. Some of you may have another type, like a double door. If you have a double door like this, then there's another product you can get. This product is called Night Lock, and there's a plate that goes down onto your flooring, whether that's the hardwood or tile or carpet and to the cement, and your door opens and closes right over the top of the plate. But when you want to lock it, you take this piece, and this piece now slides in, and you can see on how it's bracing that door, and now the person can't get in. So you could just slide this over, go in and out, slide it back with your foot. So this is a good thing. It works for double doors. You can also use it on an individual door as well. All right, Wendy, questions?
Yes. Let's see. First question up. Where can you get these different door plates? And
okay, so the door plates, this one is a Night Lock, and we can't recommend any, we don't endorse any products, but you'll have to do your own research. As the city of Plano, we can't endorse any specific products, but this is nightlock.com, so you can see this one. The Door Defender, this product, we used to send people over to Home Depot and Lowe's, and you can get these any Home Depot, Lowe's, Elliott's Hardware, they'll all carry this. The thing you want to watch for is if it comes in a package, lots of times they'll have 3-inch screws. So I'd recommend buy yourself a box of 4-inch screws, and you'll probably want, if you've got 3 doors that have a deadbolt, you'll want to get 3 of these plates and then get a box of 4-inch screws. But you can get those at the major places. And this product, go ahead.
Officer, can you switch your screens? You have, they wanted to see your what you're demonstrating.
Oh, okay. So you mean, okay, so
there we go.
What do you want to see?
What was that? One you were just holding up a second ago.
Was it this one?
Yeah, the one with the longer screws hanging down.
Screws? Okay, so this one. So this you can get at Home Depot, Lowe's, Elliott's, and the other one, this one is at nightlock.com. And this one, the only place I know you can get this is Officer Mark Dawson, who just retired. He ended up buying the patent. He didn't want to, but we used to send people to Elliott's and Home Depot. And then residents started telling us, hey, we can't get this anymore. So he says, what do you mean? So he called the manufacturer, and the guy said, I'm retiring. I'm going out of business. And Mark's like, you can't. I love your product. He goes, you can have it. So he gave Mark the patent. So he actually found a local person. So you can get those through him. You want to jot down a number, Wendy?
Sure.
It's 469 371 5123.
Okay.
His name now is Mark Dawson, but he knows all about this. He did this crime prevention for like 25 years, and he was the one who mentored me about this. Any other questions?
Yes, I have quite a few. Let's see. Are 3 cameras sufficient, 1 per entry, or is it a good idea to put cameras to see inside of the house as well?
Well, I like if I'm developing this little fortress for you, I'm going to start with that doorbell camera. Okay, so I'd start there. The second camera I would place one on that driveway, so you see anyone coming up. The third camera I would place would be the back door, so where they can come in. And then as far as other ones, it's up to you. Now, the one thing that I was worried, like I asked Ring, I said, hey, so Ring, can you see my cameras inside? Because I was thinking about, as we're walking around in different degrees of undressedness, whether people can see this. And they said, oh, but yeah, very few people. I said, forget it. So as far as indoors, I'd want a camera system indoors that is only on my Wi-Fi network, and I'm the only one who can view it, just for privacy reasons. But cameras are great. So it's up to you and your comfort level and the budget. Okay, questions?
Yes. Can Plano residents use concealed pepper spray or knives when out walking?
Yes, but you can, but you do not need to conceal either of those. Okay, I mean you can't walk around in a threatening manner with that knife. You cannot do that. But you can carry a knife, you can carry a pepper spray, you can carry a taser. If you get pepper spray, we recommend you get the kind like we carry that's got the stream that goes out. Because if you get the foam, they can take that foam and throw it back on you, and that wouldn't be any good. So we like the stream, and I'd get a good police quality one. Some people ask about, what about wasp spray? And so I checked into that for some people. I asked the defensive tactics instructors who train the officers, hey, people are asking about wasp spray. What do you think about that? And they said, well, if your enemy is a wasp, that's a good idea. But if it's a person, let's use what's been tested and proven effective on people, which is pepper spray. So I would stick with the pepper spray. And someone also brought up another good question is like, is there going to be some legal ramifications if you use wasp spray and damage someone's vision or something like that? So I would use pepper spray. Okay. Questions?
Yes. How do I identify that I have a concealed handgun on my person when approaching an officer?
Okay. If you're if you're stopped in a vehicle, the law says you have to tell that officer. If the officer stops you and says the reason you're being stopped is 45 and a 30, I need to see your driver's license, proof of insurance, you need to tell that officer, okay, officer, by the way, I am a concealed carry license person. The person says, okay, where is your firearm? It's on my side. Don't reach for it. Just keep your hands up on the steering wheel and just get your license. Don't reach for your side. Okay, so you do have to tell them. I'm not sure of a law that says if you're walking around that you have to walk up and tell an officer you have a gun, concealed carry gun, just walking around. I would have to double check. I'm not saying it's not a law, but I'm not remembering that as a law.
Okay. And how can I use my gun to protect my home in Plano?
Very carefully. So the law, there's a thing they call the castle laws. And I wanted to get some clarification. So I brought in I forget what you even call them, but the people up in the county to talk about this issue. And I never seen a circular argument go around so many times, but he talked about reasonableness. Would a reasonable person do what you did? So in other words, let's say that you come out, you hear some noises, and you come out and you notice that there's somebody there who's taken your television set off the stand and looks like they're about to try to steal your TV set. And you have your gun and you go, hey, and the person sees you, looks frightened and takes off running, opens your door and they're running away. And the homeowner, boom, shoots that person in the back several times. He falls over and dies. So what do you think, Wendy? Good shooting?
Well, no.
I think in Texas, there used to be a law called you could use deadly force and theft in the night. Someone's stealing in the night. I don't think that you can do that anymore. We have to have what's called an imminent deadly threat in order to use deadly force. We can use deadly force to protect ourselves against someone else's illegal deadly force against us or another party. But we have to be able to articulate what it is. So if all of a sudden you came down, you have your firearm, and the person's taking down that television set, sees you, grabs a knife, and charges you, and you fire, and the person dies, I think that's going to be a justifiable shooting because the person's coming at you with deadly threat. So hopefully that makes sense. But you have to be able to articulate why the castle law says that you can stand your ground. But just because you can stand your ground doesn't mean you're justified in deadly force. So I hope that makes sense. Next question.
Yes. Can you recommend a police grade pepper spray?
There's one example. There's some place you can look. We have a place called Regional Police Uniform and Supply. It's on Plano Parkway across from Fry's Electronics. And if you walked in there and you said, "Hey, what does Plano PD use?" They'll be able to tell you. But again, you can look for something like that. I'm not sure what this. It's kind of marked out. I have to throw some glasses on to see this. Looks like this is called First Defense. And I can't really see the rest of that, but it's called First Defense is the brand. But you can carry the same thing that the officers carry.
Okay. How common are home burglaries in Plano?
We have about 500 per year. And like I said, though, keep in mind that half of those open garage doors. And so about maybe 250 are not open garage doors. All right, I'm going to share my screen. We're going to push how much time do we have left?
We've got about 15 minutes.
Yeah, I'm feeling that clock getting to me here. I always, as you know, and Cullen knows very well, I always run out of time before I run out of content. So I'm going to try to keep on moving here. Okay, let's see. Okay, Garage doors. Well, we talked about garage doors in terms of being up and being a problem, but sometimes, remember I mentioned about a lot of times people don't have the door that's leading into the house? And here's a perfect example from a news story where someone had the garage door opened and it was very scary for them. Let's take a listen.
Now. That carjacker had a knife. The homeowner had a gun. Hello, everybody. I'm Heather Hayes.
Good evening. I'm Steve Eager. Ron Hernandez is the man who fought back yesterday against the shirtless and desperate criminal who barged into his Northeast Dallas home. Police were chasing that attacker after he terrorized two women, carjacking one of them and smashing her vehicle. In the end, it was police, though, who shot the suspect inside Hernandez's garage just before the homeowner says he was prepared to fire his own gun. Fox 4's Lynn Ann Wynn is in Northeast Dallas tonight with a homeowner's account of what happened. Lynn Ann.
Steve, Heather, the homeowner says that he was just watching TV with his roommate when a man that they did not know came barreling inside his home.
Just slow motion. It was protection. It wasn't about audibles. It was about survival.
Ron Hernandez was watching TV and talking about dinner with his roommate Wednesday night when a stranger came barging into his home.
And I stand up and he's yelling at me, "Give me your blanking keys. I want your car keys." And I'm like, who the hell are you?
Dallas police had been hunting the man in Hernandez's home, chasing the suspect through the woods and an apartment complex where he stole an SUV and crashed it into a pole. Then, jumping a wall into a gated neighborhood, he eventually went in through an open garage where he came face to face with Hernandez and his roommate.
When I stood up, I was much bigger than him. And so he pulled out a knife and he reached over, and as he's coming this way, he reaches this way to get his knife, and he comes to get me, and I was standing right here, and I threw him over the couch this way.
Hernandez ran towards the master bedroom where his roommate had barricaded himself. The suspect was close behind, chasing Hernandez.
This is where he put his hand. You could see the blood splatter everywhere. He put his hand on the wall because he was coming at me. He was right behind me. He got up pretty quick. I came back this way, running away from him.
Hernandez got to the bedroom and grabbed his gun.
He's banging on the door, hitting the door, kicking the door, trying to break in, trying to attack us. I opened the door and put the gun right to his face. He backs off and takes off running.
Hernandez, now armed, went after the man who just moments earlier was chasing him in his own home.
I took the safety off the gun and I came after him. As I come into the garage, I open the door and he's laying here, and I'm ready to shoot. And I realize there's police all around me.
Hernandez never fired his gun. Police say it was officers who shot the suspect when he wouldn't drop his knife. Sky 4 showed him being wheeled out of the garage on a stretcher. Hernandez's home, garage, and car covered in blood, reminders of the confrontation.
It's scary to look down at this blood, to see this.
Yeah, that must have been terrifying. So one thing we want to do is keep the garage doors closed so that we don't put not only our property, but also our family at risk. Sorry about that. It's important to say that must have been terrifying for that homeowner. But we want to keep our garage doors closed so we not only keep our property safe, but more importantly, our family safe. Now, that person was determined to get to that homeowner. He was pounding on the doors. You could see the blood everywhere, had that knife. And then when the homeowner opened the door, he realized he brought a knife to a gunfight. He turned around and ran. But I'm going to tell you this. If you're behind a locked door that's holding for you, and a person's outside with a knife, you should never open that door. He said he put the gun in the person's face. He was that close to that young man who had the knife. He's lucky, the homeowner's lucky he wasn't stabbed in the neck. So we don't want to do that. You got your door locked. Get away from your door in case the person starts shooting through the door. Or what if the police had come into that residence and then they started shooting down that hall and you're on the other side of the door? So number one, don't open that door. Stay in there, call 911, let the police come and take care of you. I saw a question about lights. Lighting is probably the least expensive crime deterrent. So we recommend you get photoelectric cells, the type of adapter you put in there, and then you put your bulb in so it's light sensitive, just like the street lamp. So when it's dark out, the lights come on, and when the sun comes up, the lights shut off. So criminals like to creep around the dark, so we like to have the lights on in all hours of darkness. As far as inside, like I did a webinar last night, and so I left a couple lights on. Some people have timers. I don't have timers, but if I'm not going to be there, then I put the lights on. And even if we travel sometimes, we'll just leave them on. But yes, lights are helpful to be indoors, but we definitely want the exterior of your home lit in our hours of darkness. Okay, I'm going to keep going. I know we got more questions because I saw some, but I'm going to come back to those in just a second because I think I might cover some of those that you're going to ask. Why my mouse won't show nicely. There we go. Okay. All right. So how easy it? You might be asking this question. You say, "Hey, listen, we're talking about fortifying these doors and putting the strike plates and the door defender. But what about glass? Yeah, glass is easy to break. Let's take a look at this, if we can."
Five, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Okay, so most people know that glass is a very vulnerable, entry point, but they don't know there's something you can do about it. Now, this next door, what they've done is they put on window security laminate or window safety film. And as he throws this brick, it normally would penetrate right through the glass, but as we'll see, it's going to bounce right off.
So make sure I get everybody on video.
Okay, so now he's going
to
go.
You're on time.
See how fast can he get in this.
See how fast you can get in.
Oh, by the way, should you ever hear some sounds like this in law enforcement, we call this a clue.
Get in.
Pick up the phone and call 911. Okay, he tries and tries, but he finally, after about a minute's worth of time, he's able to get in a hole large enough to crawl through. I don't know where this other one is from, but here's a situation where I'm going to go forward in this. 52 seconds. We're going to have to go through this. And then I don't know where to get that glass, but that's pretty good. So they've asked burglars before, what would deter you? What would stop you from breaking into a house? There's two things that burglars listed, the top two. The first one was a gun. And this is a hot topic. I can't answer this question for you or your family, whether to get a gun or not. I will tell you this. If you have a gun in the home and you have kids, there's a greater statistical likelihood that your child, you would have an accidental shooting, then you would need to use that gun to defend yourself against a home invader. So we need to think about being responsible with that gun, keeping it secured, and getting some good training. And there's a couple good places you can go. Plano's got a place called the Bullet Trap. They offer classes, so basic firearm classes. You can rent firearms, you can try them. You can have a date night, go have some fun, see who's the best shot. And that way you can try out the different types of weapons. And then there's the Frisco has a nice place called the Frisco Gun Club. But it's an important decision. It's something you need to think of very carefully about guns. The second thing they didn't like was dogs. So we say, listen, if you don't have a dog, get a dog. If you got a cat, get rid of it. Get yourself a dog. I'm just kidding, you cat lovers. If you got a dog that doesn't bark, that's a cat. Get yourself a real dog. So if you do get a dog, you want to make sure you give that dog some training. This one right here, we started when she was pretty young. This is my little Akita, Sachi, and she's a pretty fun little dog. But they don't like dogs, even little small dogs. So, but if you get a dog, you definitely want to try to train that dog so you have a nice life with that dog. Okay, questions for me. Miss Wendy?
Sorry, forgot to unmute. Sorry. Let's see. Can a neighbor have a camera pointed right at your backyard from their driveway?
They're not supposed to like invade you. If they're like, if a neighbor's got a camera pointed right at your master bedroom or something that you can really articulate as being some invasion of privacy, that's going to probably be a problem. But if they're like just shooting an area and happens to trespass a little bit in your yard, They can. Like my neighbors got some up on the eaves, like way up on the tops or whatever that's called, the eaves of their house, and it shoots over and it shoots into my backyard. So yes, they probably can. If you think it's a real problem, you could, investigate it and see if it violates anything. But if they're not trying to invade your privacy, then it's not against the law.
Okay. And how would you recommend to let an intruder know that you have guns? Would it be smart to put a sign in the yard?
So there's a couple thoughts on this, and I'm not sure which one to go with, because there's two. One school of thought says, like Smith and Western or Smith and Wesson on premises. So some people think that's a good idea. Let people know you've got guns in the house. Other people say, don't do that because they're going to break in to get your guns. So that's going to be a personal decision. Questions?
Let's see. How do we handle people coming to the door and selling things? Should they be reported?
So you should have, in my opinion, if you don't like that, I would put a no soliciting sign on the door. And there's certain verbiage that needs to be on there. And I have, send me an email, Wendy. If you have an email list for this group?
I do.
Okay, so I'll send you one that we made up that's got the city ordinance. You might even have something like that. My wife, she didn't like that little piece of paper that I made, And so she took the verbiage and had someone make a real pretty little wooden sign, and we hang it up in the window. But should say no soliciting or no handbills, and then put C dot and then O dot for city ordinance, and then put the city ordinance number. And that gives proper notice. Then if they try to sell something, that is a violation. Then you would call them in. I'd like to report a city ordinance violation. I have a no soliciting sign, and the person knocks on the door, try to sell me something, could be a burglar, because a burglar is not going to pay attention to that sign. So I would do that. Now, keep in mind, that does not stop nonprofits and religious organizations from coming. So you can still get those Girl Scout cookies. And boy, if you get some Samoas, give me a call. Those are good stuff. Okay, questions? Boy, our clock is winding down. Whoop!
Yes, it is. Yes, this will be available later, and I will be sending you all a link to the recording of this video as well. And last one we're going to go with here, are people allowed to use drones flying over backyards, and what are the
I think there are some restrictions on that. So that might be something you call on. I don't think that you can be flying these drones around invading your privacy and things like that. So that might be a good call. I think there are some restrictions on that. Wendy, anything else before I give my little closing comments?
Nope. We'll go ahead and let you wrap up.
Okay, so I have something I put out called Safety Minutes, so if you'll watch for that. The items we talked about here, I've broken them down to little chunks. You can view those on the City of Plano YouTube channel, and they have a playlist, and if you click on playlist, you'll see where it says Safety Minute, and I think there's about 143 videos, and then I push one out once a week. So please, if you like it and subscribe to it, then you'll be notified when the new ones are released each week. In terms of review, this was actually from we didn't talk about this, the old jogging practice. This is one I did after that, Charmise this thin. But here's what we talked about today. So in Neighborhood Watch, I want you to remember to know your neighbors and to report suspicious activity, but it is not investigating nor apprehending. And let's harden the target by putting some of this hardware on your doors to make it more burglar resistant. And remember, if you see something, say something. We want you to immediately call 911 to report any suspicious person, vehicle, or circumstance, because together we can increase your personal safety. And when we get out of this COVID thing, I am going to be I said personal, I meant property safety, because when we get out of COVID, I'm going to be jumping for joy when we can do these things in person. Hopefully you never need to contact the police, but if you ever need to talk to me, just remember this. Oh, wrong cue too. That's supposed to be one call away. Okay, Culla. Time for Culla to dance.
Well, on that note, I'm going to help you out here, Culla, because I'm going to throw up a poll. So if everybody could take a moment and just answer our poll for us, and just let us know what you think about that. You can answer in the chat box if that's easier. But how did you hear about our event today? And then also, what topics would you like to see on future Best Breaks? Again, the first and third Wednesday of the month. So thank you everyone for attending. We really enjoyed our session today and really look forward to seeing you again at a future event. I will be posting this video. We've done a recording, so I will be posting that and getting all of that out to everyone that registered for the webinar. So thank you so much for attending today, and please let us know if we can help you out. Again, best@plano.gov is the best way to reach our Best Neighborhoods team, and we look forward to seeing you on a future Best Break. Thank you again to Officer Villanes. You've had some wonderful insights, and it's been a great session today, so we've really enjoyed that, and hopefully we'll see you all very soon. Thank you.
Hey, thank
Bye,
you,
everyone.